Curse of the Black Moon is a series about Adrian, a young man who one day gets bitten by something while camping. The bite turns out to be no ordinary animal bite. It turns him into a wolf. He goes through a lot during the course of the story. In the first chapter, he runs from the police, thinking they're after him because he's a murderer. In the second chapter, he encounters a pack of wolves and barely manages to convince them that he's not their enemy. They accept him and help him to learn how to control his new abilities. By the third chapter, he falls in love with one of the she-wolves, but they're forced to part ways when the pack moves to a new hunting ground. Now, alone once again, Adrian feels isolated and struggles with his inner beast. Just when he starts to think he might actually be able to live a normal human life, he meets up with the pack again, but things have changed. They're hostile towards him now for some reason, and in a desperate attempt to defend himself, Adrian accidentally kills one of them. Now in chapter 6, Adrian has been on the run ever since he killed that wolf. He's tired and hungry, but mostly he's afraid. Afraid of the pack coming after him, afraid of losing control and hurting somebody else, and afraid of the darkness that seems to be growing inside of him, slowly consuming his humanity. As he hides in the forest, he begins to lose hope. He doesn't know if he can keep running forever. He doesn't know if he wants to. But before we start, please like and subscribe so that you won't miss any new stories. Thank you. And now, let's begin Chapter 7. Adrian stumbled upon an old abandoned cabin. He cautiously approached it, half expecting to find someone else hiding there, but he was desperate for shelter. So he broke in anyway. The cabin smelled musty, like old wood and decaying leaves. Dust motes danced in the weak sunlight that managed to penetrate the thick canopy overhead. The place had clearly been empty for years, but it was enough to keep him safe for the night. As soon as the sun dipped below the horizon, Adrian felt the familiar pull of the curse. He shifted into his wolf form and howled at the moon, the sound echoing eerily in the silent woods. After his transformation, Adrian explored the cabin, hoping to find something useful, maybe a weapon or some food. All he found was an old diary tucked away in a dusty corner. Curiosity got the better of him. He had nothing to lose and nowhere else to go. So he decided to stay and read the diary. The diary belonged to a man named Thomas, who had lived in the cabin many years ago. Thomas's entries spoke of strange occurrences in the forest, of shadows moving just beyond his sight, and whispers carried on the wind that seemed to call to something ancient and evil. Adrian felt a chill crawl down his spine as he read. Was this place somehow connected to the curse? Had others suffered here as he was now? Then Adrian stumbled upon an entry that made his heart skip a beat. Thomas wrote of a discovery he had made, an ancient burial chamber hidden beneath the roots of a nearby oak tree. According to local legends, the tree was over 200 years old. It had been revered by the indigenous people as a sacred site where spirits were said to gather. Could there be a connection between the curse and this ancient burial chamber? Could the answers he sought be buried beneath the very tree he had sheltered under? Driven by a mix of morbid curiosity and desperation, Adrian decided to seek out the burial chamber. The thought of finding answers, however grim, was too tempting to resist. Under the cover of darkness, Adrian set off into the forest, the diary clutched tightly in his jaws. Guided by instinct and the fading moonlight, he found the massive oak tree. Its gnarled branches clawed at the sky, and an unnatural stillness hung around it, broken only by the pounding of Adrian's heart. As he circled the tree, searching for any sign of the burial chamber, the forest around him grew darker, the trees closing in like a suffocating blanket. Suddenly, the ground gave way beneath his paws, and he found himself tumbling down into a dark and narrow shaft. Dirt and leaves raining down around him. Coughing and disoriented, Adrian found himself in a subterranean chamber. The air was thick and heavy, laden with the scent of decay and damp earth. A single torch flickered on the wall, casting grotesque shadows that danced and twisted around him. In the center of the chamber stood a stone altar, and on it lay a human skull, its empty sockets staring sightlessly up at him. But it wasn't just any skull. As Adrian stared in disbelief, he recognized the features, the shape of the skull, the jaw with its missing teeth. It was a wolf skull. And then he saw the etchings on the walls, scenes depicting humans transforming into wolves, howling at the moon. The truth of the curse hit him like a physical blow, sending him crashing to his paws. He was more than just a victim of a random curse. This was an ancient ritual, a dark pact between humans and wolves that had been passed down through generations. Suddenly, the diary entries from Thomas's journal flooded back to Adrian, and he realized the extent of his own connection to this place. His ancestors had been part of this ritual, willingly embracing the curse, becoming lycanthropes to appease whatever evil lurked in the shadows. But why? What dark purpose had this served? As Adrian delved deeper into the chamber, he uncovered more disturbing etchings, scenes that depicted not just the transformation, but also a terrifying consequence of the ritual. The wolves, the ones that had accepted Adrian, were the descendants of these ancient lycanthropes. They weren't just wolves, they were cursed wolves, forever bound to serve whatever evil had demanded their existence. And as Adrian looked at the skull on the altar, he understood that the true horror of the curse was not just the transformation, but what it meant to be a servant of the darkness. He had thought he was fighting for his own freedom, for his own humanity, but now he realized he was caught in a much bigger, much darker game. The final engravings showed a horrifying future, one where the full moon hung ominously in the sky, where the wolves led a pack of humans into battle, their eyes glowing with an eerie light. The humans, it seemed, were followers of the same dark ritual, eager to unleash the curse's full power. Adrian felt a chill crawl down his spine. Was this the ultimate goal of the ritual? To raise an army of the damned, an army that would usher in an age of darkness and despair. He was more than just a pawn in this ancient game. He was at the center of it. His every move, every decision, was being manipulated by forces far beyond his understanding. The diary lay open at his paws, its pages filled with secrets that should have remained buried. The truth of the curse was a heavy burden to bear. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, Adrian knew he had to make a choice. Would he embrace the darkness and become its champion, or would he defy it, even if it meant losing everything? The fate of countless souls, both human and wolf, rested on his decision. The diary fluttered to the ground, forgotten as Adrian closed his eyes, the weight of his destiny pressing down on him. His breaths came faster, his muscles tensed, ready to shift. He could feel the darkness within him stir, coiling like a serpent, hissing for release. The full moon bathed the chamber in an ethereal glow, turning Adrian's wolfish features into a ghostly apparition. A low growl rumbled in his chest, echoing the ancient ritual that had brought him to this moment. As the minutes ticked by, Adrian grappled with the curse, trying to maintain his humanity. But the longer he resisted, the stronger the darkness became. The transformation raged within him, twisting his limbs, elongating his claws, sharpening his teeth. Suddenly, with a deafening crack, his bones shattered and reformed, reshaping his body into that of a wolf. But this was no ordinary wolf. The moonlight glistened on Adrian's fur, making it seem almost ethereal. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, burning with the power of the curse. His transformation complete, the monstrous wolf rose to its feet. It was bigger than any wolf Adrian had seen before, its presence radiating power and menace. Its howl echoed through the underground chamber, a primal scream that shook the very foundations of the earth. The wolf turned, its glowing eyes fixed on the skull on the altar. It took a step forward, then another, each movement charged with an otherworldly power. The diary lay abandoned at the edge of the altar, its secrets momentarily forgotten in the face of the wolf's eerie procession. With a final defiant howl, the wolf charged from the chamber, disappearing into the darkness of the forest. The moon hung high in the sky, bathing the world in its silvery light as the transformed Adrian vanished into the shadows. The ancient ritual had claimed another victim, drawing him deeper into its web of darkness and despair.